Very warm welcome and good evening, everyone. I hope the sound is fine and translation is working. Oh, that's good. I'd like to just share one quote with you. This is Einstein, and he said there are only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle, and the other is as though everything is a miracle. And yesterday, one of the aspects that was brought that for this conscious soul or invisible traveler, the drama can't affect you or the soul, even the slightest. And we hear it many times, but this practice to reinforce and to drum it in creates such a feeling of wonder. Then this gift is very natural to experience. And in the reading this morning in the Murli, the Smriti, when that's in place, how it affects everything else, it becomes the key to experiencing the treasures which are already there. So really would like to warmly welcome everyone, and especially happy to be welcoming Sister Genti, who I think everyone may know, Administrative Head of Brahma Kumaris, and to share in this celebration and to go into this yoga experiments and hear your experiences. So a warm welcome and best greetings from everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, and it's lovely to be with you all. And how do we begin with this subject of experimentation with yoga, yoga prayog? And the starting point for anything in Raj Yoga has to be Baba's Murlis. And so in the Murli, Sakar and Avyakt, Baba gives us many different aspects that we can experiment with and see what is our experience for ourselves. Baba doesn't say, just believe me. Baba says, no, these are the things that I'm sharing with you. Now judge for yourself. Or Baba will say, well, these are the things that I'm sharing. Now experiment with this and find out for yourself. And so every single aspect of Gyan is something to experiment with. So the knowledge of the soul, am I experimenting with that? And it sounds very basic, but really Smriti, my awareness, also depends on the extent to which I am soul conscious. And there are three different types of experiments that we can have just simply with soul consciousness. So let's start with that. Just focusing on the inner being, the shining light that I am, the soul. Can I feel the immortal being totally separate from this physical body of mine? I am the master, the sovereign of this physical instrument. I look out through these eyes and I stay stable in the awareness of who I am. I listen through the ears, but I underline this awareness of who is it who's listening. I want to keep my body calm and still for the next little while. And I, the soul, stay calm and send those vibrations of calm through the entire physical system. when it will be time to move into action, I will keep this consciousness, this awareness of who am I and what is it that I'm doing through this instrument. So that state of mastery over the body, self-sovereignty, that state happens the more I experiment with this awareness of the soul. And this is something to be done, not just sitting down, but when I walk, when I cook, when I clean. All these instruments are doing everything that I tell them, that I am stable, seated here. And so sitting down, when I sit for yoga, yes, I experiment going inside, going on this inner journey. But this stage of mastery is really the experimentation of when I'm active, I'm engaged, I'm involved through everything that I do through the day. And then yes, when it's traffic control time and I don't have to be engaged in any of those things, again, I come back, just going inside. And the second experiment of soul consciousness is, as I engage in things that I need to do, can I try a little experiment and be here rather than here? It's a little trick for the mind because, of course, the soul isn't going anywhere. It is definitely going to stay here so that my breathing, my inner movements, everything is happening. The entire physiology is happening as it should. But it's a little trick to try to be outside and just observe this instrument and see what's going on. When I'm speaking with somebody, again, as they speak, can I for a moment, just a moment, be out here as the observer and watch what's going on? And definitely, I won't be reactive, but rather I'll be responsive. I won't be allowing any buttons to be pushed by the other, but I'll be measured in my response to them. And the third experiment, yes, when I do have the opportunity to stop engaging in karma and other people, I can really let the soul from here fly to my home, the home of silence, the home which is Paramdham, the supreme abode, where only the soul can go, bodies cannot go. And so sitting here, I allow my thoughts to move beyond the physical dimension, to go into that home, the world of light, a space which is unlimited, a place of purity, a place where I, the soul, exist in my own original pure state of being. I, the soul, in this place of silence, of unlimited purity, am in this home This is where I used to live. And now I'm going to try coming back home as soon as I can. I leave to do my karma, but I keep returning with my consciousness to this unlimited home. And the more I do this, I begin to see the value of the drama. From up above, from my home, I look down. I see the rush and the busyness of all the things happening on the world drama stage. And I stay up above. And I now come back into the physical abode. This physical body of mine, my home here, for now, on this planet. So 3 experiments, just simply with soul consciousness. Baba gives us many metaphors for the relationship of soul and body. The driver of this vehicle, of this chariot, the soul, the dweller in this home, this body, the soul, the idol in this temple, this body. So experiment with each of the things that Baba speaks about in the Sakar Murlis. But also I would recommend experiment with the things that Baba says in the Avyakt Murlis. Both are fascinating and very, very powerful. An example, and it's an old example, but that's okay. But each Avyakt Murli gives you different types of homework to experiment with. But the one I'm thinking of that Baba asked us to practice every single day for a whole year was the 5 forms. My home, my original form of light there, and then coming down to Satyug and my pure worship-worthy state, that state of the deity. And what is it like when I'm there in that Sattva Pradhan stage in a world which is absolutely fresh and new and beautiful. And then the third, the stage of being in the Copper Age, when generally bhakti begins and my own pure love for God is revealed to me. In the Golden and Silver Age, I didn't even remember to love God or to remember God. But in the Copper Age, different things happen and there's a trigger. And I want to stay experiencing God's love. And then the 4th stage, I, the Brahman. And then the 5th stage, I, the angel. Baba often talks about spinning the discus of self-realization, Swadarsan Chakradhari. but in a very practical way. Avyak Baba suggested that we try these 5 forms. And it was a very effective way to keep our consciousness in the highest state possible, because we all took that homework very seriously and we all practiced it. But even though that was then, but today again, within my experimentation of yoga, I think that plays a major role, to see the self going through the whole cycle and experiencing the different stages of the cycle. So every Murli gives us something to experiment with. And when you're reading the Murli or studying the Murli, it would be really so valuable if you really make note of the different aspects that you can experiment with, because it'll give you a fresh feeling of homework every day that's going to keep you very deeply connected with Baba. So if there are comments or questions, we can open up to that.
You shared a secret there, and it would be nice to hear, like, we all practice, and it sounds like what you just shared, maybe taking the point which touches the heart from the Murli and bringing it through the day. So is that your practice, or anything like from your, what is working?
You're asking me, or you're asking the participants?
Yeah, well, I'll put a note in the chat if you have any questions, but maybe it'd be nice to hear from you. Is this your practice, Denti Ben, where you're taking the point from the Murli to reflect on that during the day?
And also especially to experiment with it at Amrit Vela, because Amrit Vela, you need something to stimulate your buddhi. Otherwise, it's very easy to experience very sweet silence and peace. But giving yourself homework, and especially if it's from the Murli, then it's very powerful and it stimulates the intellect to work on something.
A recent realization for me was that asking myself questions creates churning based on the Murli, and that brings the intellect alive otherwise. Another question that's just come. Can we hear 5 things or 5 steps to do every day? I'm not sure. You have 5 steps or 5 things.
I really don't think about 5 steps every day. What I do is take something from the Murli and reflect on it through the day. And sometimes what I'm taking as the experiment for my meditation is different. Sometimes it's the same, but sometimes it's different. And through traffic control, I experiment with sometimes just connecting with Baba, sometimes a point from the Murli, experimenting with that, but also sometimes just simply looking back over the last hour to check and see what was the quality of my thinking, what was the quality of my awareness, so that then I can be improving that in the next 60 minutes. So I think doing that every hour on the hour is something very practical that can help everybody.
Yeah, that's an interesting use of that time, actually. So whilst it's raising the awareness, but also like an assessment. A question, is it possible to practice the seed stage during while performing karma?
I don't think so. At least I haven't been able to manage it. You can experiment with the stage of self-sovereign while performing karma. You can also experiment with being the detached observer whilst performing karma. And you can even experience the avyakt stage, your form of light, your avyakt form, the angelic stage while doing karma. But seed stage for me is one in which really I'm totally free from all sorts of action. And I'm really just on that inner journey, and I'm experiencing the passion of God's love, which is removing the burden of my sins.
Yeah, thank you. It's more detached. One question, why do I get tears with meditation sometimes, and sometimes there are images of white light and things are coming?
Usually when people begin to meditate, sometimes there are tears because you're experiencing Baba's love and the soul has been separated from God for thousands of years. And so to rediscover that relationship brings tears to the eyes. So sometimes it's that feeling of emotion and deep love. White light, yes, it happens sometimes, but not to let myself get distracted by the lights or faces or anything like that. Just keep focused on your awareness of the soul and the connection with Baba. Lights are really a distraction, so don't let yourself get distracted by those.
Thank you, Gentiben. I hope that helps, and feel free to write in the chat. Yeah, that's good. One question. When I am tired and going to sleep, what happens to the soul? I'm not sure if the question is what happens to the soul when we sleep, or that I don't know if you have any comments.
I think the soul understands that the body needs to rest, and also that the mind needs to rest. Our mind is so busy and engaged and active through the day. And so the soul is definitely still in the body, but just like the physiology just slows down and lets the body into a complete state of rest, in the same way, my thoughts slow down and my buddhi is very calm. And so the soul is here, hasn't gone away, but it's not in its conscious, waking, alert state. And so, yes, the brain patterns are different, the breathing is different, all of that. So, and it's a state that's very essential for the body, but also for the mind, so that the mind can also take a short rest.
I had a question. I really like the feeling of this observer practice that you gave, I think the second one, and it feels like the objectivity that comes, and sometimes that third person practice, it may be similar, where we get the feeling it's not personal. I don't know if you want to expand on your experiences or thoughts on what is going on when we're able to be that objective observer, or how we refine it even.
There was something that somebody who does social work was telling me many years ago. And he said that in their training, what they were told was, if you find yourself in a room in which there's too many different emotions at play, and there's quite a struggle going on, And it's difficult to know who is right and who is wrong because everybody's blaming each other. A very important thing is to practice being out of the room and looking through the window and seeing what's going on. And I connected this with the observer stage. So I'm not going to leave the room and go out and look through the window. But what I can do mentally is step aside and see the stage. And I see all these people interacting, and they've all got their own agendas. They've all got their own emotions and feelings, all jumping around. And as a detached observer, being with Baba, then I can get more of a feeling of what it is I need to say and how it is I need to behave and what it is I need to do. And so being emotionally detached by this awareness of being an observer is a very, very good method to be able to be yog-yukt and do what is needed at the time of need. Otherwise, we get influenced by the emotions that are flying around. And it's very difficult for us to understand what is behind all those energies, or what is the narrative, the underlying story of what's happening. Because it might be the first time I'm with these people, maybe not, maybe I've been coming to them for some years, but certainly at this moment, their emotions are very, very charged. And so I just need to internally step away and watch the drama and keep my own state of calm so powerful that it can influence others also to become calm. And so it's a very useful method to experiment with. And maybe I don't find myself in such stormy situations, but even if it's a simple situation, can I step away, watch the scene, and I know how to contribute in the most positive way possible.
Really works for me because it is a visual, very grounded example, and also this emotion to separate, it's actually very loving. It's not helpful to get into the reaction space. So yeah, I'll definitely play with it. We've almost come to time, but maybe one last question: how to prevent falling asleep during meditation?
Homework. And if you find that you are falling asleep, then take up a paper and pad, pencil, and just start writing, churning, taking up subjects that are totally connected with yoga. The subject of God, my relationship with God, the subject of Paramdham, and the fact that I want to go and experience my home. So try that for a few minutes, and then again sit back and experiment with what you've written. And so keep doing that. And so sometimes giving yourself homework just on an inner subtle level is too subtle, and the sleep is more strong. But actually getting into the physical act of writing, but what you're writing is not anything else except yoga. You're writing about the qualities of the self, you're writing about the relationship with Baba, and so on.
Yes, I do a lot of writing. This is my book full of notes. I find it really, really practical, that, and it can consolidate, because sometimes it can feel like they're floating ideas, but active writing is very, very helpful. Yeah, thank you for that reminder. So I don't know if you have anything you'd like to share finally, or maybe share some silence together, but
just to say that really the different practices of soul consciousness are the foundation for spiritual life. And so even if I've been on the journey for 10 years, 20 years, however long, doesn't matter. Coming back to basics and underlining all this is absolutely vital. So yes, let's have a moment of silence together. Shanti, thank you.
Om Shanti, thank you. And for connecting many ideas and left with actually a lot of ideas, inspiration for that homework or play work. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
To continue with the experiments, I'd like to bring in Brother Prashant. Hello.
Hi. Hello. And so we all had lots of very, very practical things to experiment with. This will keep us busy for a week at least. But as was mentioned by Jayanti Ben, that regardless of how many years we are in knowledge, some of these things, they have their continuous process, effect of refining. The quality has to become more and more subtle. So you never get bored with the simple thing, alpha and beta. So let us create another minute of silence. Very much, some basic, let us come to the awareness of the invisible soul. His presence here right now. And this invisible soul is visiting this physical world. He's a traveler. He's here for a very short time. Tiny point. And we see it with amazement. That this soul, that is our true form, is a tiny point. And he is aware of this present scene here. And he has a journey. He has an exit from here also. He remains this detached observer of what is happening here. Thank you. Now let us first hear any thoughts, comments, any questions, and then we'll come back to the continuation.
Someone was asking, is it helpful to chant mantra?
All the different practices that exist, they all have some benefit. That's why people are doing it. They do have results. But the question is that my aim? What is the reason we are here? And we saw in our discussions, even yesterday, there is this supreme reality in front of us, and one that is preventing us from experiencing this supreme reality are the 10 heads of Ravan, are our bondages, our ego, and we need a method to remove these 10 heads of Ravan. And that is the reason we are here. And that is the reason Baba comes. Ram comes to remove Ravan. So if my aim is that, to remove Ravan, to purify the soul, that is another way of saying remove the sin, past sin. And the purification of the soul is this. Then we need to be very clear what we are practicing. And there has to be some efficiency. Otherwise, one can just meditation and chanting, and you can be in the same camp. Ravan has no problem in chanting and doing lots of rituals. Ravan has no problem there. But if you are going to practice soul awareness, Ravan will create resistance. Any other thoughts?
I was thinking about yesterday, and you brought the subject of ego bypass. And it would be interesting to know if ego also can adapt and get hidden somewhere in this practice, because he also doesn't want to be seen. So I think with everything we need to do also the balance. So we need to also check and see ego at the same time, but also practice seeing that clean soul and starting fresh. I don't know if you have any comments on it.
Yeah, sure. And I will come to the board, and so let us use some visual image. And how do we know whether the ego is in charge at any moment, or there is soul awareness? In the language of soul can go, and we can be talking about the soul also, but can it be still ego? And it is very possible. And the way to know, ego will be very interested in the story. There will be thoughts with passion connected with the story. So during those seconds, minutes, know that ego is the master. When the soul is conscious, why should he be having such passion about any story? There is Cinderella. The soul has no passion about it. He has his world, and he has his father and his family. He has got his amazing wonder beyond. He is more interested in that wonder. If he is conscious, during those seconds, during those minutes, his attention will be in the alaukik. The word amazement is a good word. Every aspect of this dimension is having that amazing feeling, starting from the self. We said, you want to see that point. In this moment, the soul is a point, and he is in a traveler. He's having this amazing journey, long journey, and he's immortal, and he's from God's family. Every aspect is so big, and this energy of wonder and amazement, that is like a fire. That is a positive energy for the soul consciousness that nourishes the soul. The intoxication of the story, most of the time, it feeds the ego somewhere. It feeds Ravan's hates, different kinds, intoxications. But when it is coming from the alaukik world, it purifies the soul. Yesterday, we touched this subject. Our big area is, here is the mind. I'm using the similar image, but with a different meaning. Here is the mind. And this is another extraordinary gift each and every one of us got. We got a mind. And mind can experience things. In this whole universe, there's nothing that can experience. But it is the mind that experiences. Mind is an amazing gift, and Ravan is very interested in this mind also. And at present, 10 heads of Ravan are busy using this mind full time. That's why mind has become a problem, and mental health problems are increasing everywhere. It is because 10 heads of Ravan are increasing. They're getting bigger. And they are fighting with themselves, these heads, because there is just one mind, and all these heads of Ravan want to use the same mind. What is our aim, and what are we trying to do here? Our aim is for the angel. We want to get the angelic soul to use the mind. That is the best way the mind can be used. The highest thing anyone can do on this planet is let angel use the mind. Angel, just another way, the highest consciousness. Words are nice, angel use the mind, but what will that be? How will it present angel using the mind? Soul that is conscious, that is the angel. Soul conscious soul. Even God is soul that is forever conscious. soul that has got no trace of Ravan, that is God. All are souls, each and everyone is a soul on this planet. Political leaders, criminals, they all are souls. And God is also a soul. What's the difference? You would like to answer? God is a soul, and some criminals, they are also souls. And what's the difference?
Purity in the mind.
Mm-hmm. Any other? What's the difference in different people we meet? In what way are they different at a deep level?
God has no body consciousness. God has never been physical being. Maybe I would add, he hasn't got deceived by the physical world. He's always in absolute truth. There's no ego. There's no bondage to drama. Sanskars are Ravan free.
Yes, all we need to say, just a Ravan free. No Ravan, zero Ravan. Then you get this 100% pure. We said natural state of everyone is positive. Universe is positive, world is positive, and everyone is positive. As long as they don't cross that line. Then only when they cross the line, the game changes. So here, when the soul is visiting this, our world, soul that is fully conscious, if there is no Ravan, then his intoxication is based on the sky. So let us come to that practice right now. Something that we underlined yesterday also came of a second. Invisible Prince knows that he is lucky. Invisible Prince, he sees himself in that image of tiny point. It is totally normal for him to belong to that supreme sky. It is normal for him to belong to that great family of souls. It is totally normal to belong to God and be worthy to be loved by God. Invisible Prince. He knows his complete independence from the story. Knows of the story. the same time knows his complete independence. Thank you. Now we said, give of a second. In 1 second, you start from the sky, start from the soul, and he's lucky. He's immortal. His world is world with God. His world is family of divine brothers. He is experiencing this wonder. That is what the invisible prince is experiencing. He needs nothing from anywhere. He can lose nothing. And he is aware of the story at a distance. And that is a story, nothing there matters. In the story, something comes up, something goes down, that's the story. He is amused by the story. Every scene in the story is also a wonder. During these seconds and during these minutes, the angelic soul is using the mind. Same mind, but now the thoughts are about the alokik dimension, which is right in front of everyone's nose. If the ego is in charge, ego is not spending even 1 second to see any of these things. Ego is busy in churning the story. He has got lots to question and lots to complain, or maybe excited also. So lots of intoxication also, but all based on the story. That feeds Ravan, that makes Ravan of others also bigger. When ego is using the mind. Like last 1 minute, we're just seeing the life of the invisible prince. If there is full attention on it, and then that will happen. Each time we are coming back to it, it will happen. Invisible prince. This is a word we are using for the invisible soul. He's also the invisible angel. And what's the difference? He is 100% clear. He is one with Paras intellect. So he has no interest to go into the story and think about the story. He has got his home, and he has got his father, and he has got his great family. This is more important to him, for the invisible prince. His world is of wonder and amazement. Every aspect is the best, starting with the self, then life with God. He is not thinking of believing God, he lives with God. Worthiness to be loved by God, belong to God, to have company of God. Because he himself is clean. If anyone is free from the story, he becomes free from Ravan. Invisible prince is free. That's why silently there is a feeling of wonder. Knows this great family here, family of divine royals. They are all souls, they all look like points. He knows that they are lovely, loving, and lucky. Just sees this, and as he's seeing this, it is the angel who is seeing it. He creates light in this. He's seeing the immensely beautiful truth of everyone, that they all are lucky. They are from the family of God and they are part of this celestial celebration, eternal celebration. From here, we look into the far, far distance. We see the physical world and the story world. And as the invisible prince visits the story world, why would he come in the story world? He comes in the story world as an invisible incarnate. He doesn't come in the story world out of passion, but as an incarnate. He remains that invisible prince. He remains that tiny point. Incarnate has a mission. And mission is to free his invisible brothers. His invisible brothers are in that story, are deceived in that story. So he knows his vision, his attitude. That is of great help in this. The light of the angel, the perspective of the angel. And with that attitude, intention, he comes in the story. Thank you. Now we get an idea here in the difference between the mind used by angel. If the mind is used by angel, what will he be experiencing? You get a very clear idea. It is not just we think about angel all the time. That is not the angel will be doing, but angel is experiencing. This is important for him. when we are using the word invisible prince, he's experiencing this truth that exists. And for him, it is an obvious truth. His home, his true family, his own true form, his life of love and life of joy. But it is the angel behind. So even as he's experiencing, he creates light here. It becomes like a lighthouse effect, makes it possible for others to experience it. If he comes in the drama, he's coming to create light. He brings that truth, seeing the story for what it is. Vision is alokik, vision is on the soul. Continues to see that wonder. If the angel is conscious, angel doesn't go in the story to question, complain. That is not angelic. It is possible, there may be angelic perspective for 5 minutes and then attention is gone. And if that attention is gone, then if the ego takes over, then the thoughts will be with passion about the story. Some small things, petty things, but it is questions, complaints, maybe excitement, maybe waste thoughts, but you are thinking about the story. And people might think, oh, this is just waste thoughts or ordinary thoughts. But these are not angelic thoughts. Mind is not used in the highest possible way. Yeah, you want to add anything, say anything?
So the question in the chat, you mentioned the angelic soul using the mind rather than Ravan. Now, it was the experiential side, and someone is wanting to know, what does that sort of look like in the drama? I think, can you give an example of how angelic soul using the mind perhaps interacts, or any examples to give the feeling of it?
Yes, and the angelic soul using the mind, that is what we saw, and definitely will create more time for it again. You will not see it in the drama. Drama is going on. It is like a story has got a script. It goes on by its own law. The question is, this is a subtle game that is going on in the mind. The mind is the place where, who is using the mind. So Baba uses this expression. Some of us might have heard of this. Man mana bhav. Man is mind. Mana is like the expression or word used to me, implying to God. Bhava means offer. Offer your mind to God. Let God use the mind, and God is allowing angel to use the mind. Ordinarily, from Copper Age, what has happened? What is the mantra that we have been practicing from Copper Age? You want to say? From Copper Age, our mantra has been Man Ravan Bhava. We have offered mind to Ravan. Anyone is chanting this mantra? Man Ravan Bhava. And it is not Ravan is saying Ravan, Ravan. He is not chanting the name Ravan, but Ravan is obsessed with the story. Thoughts about the story. They can be cyclical thoughts, they can be exciting thoughts, they can be so-called positive thoughts, but they are all about story. And that is Man Ravan Bhava. Our aim, big success for us is offer the mind to angel. That is the way angel becomes stronger. If the angel gets chance to use the mind, that is what a nourishment to the angel. If Ravan uses the mind, Ravan's hates become stronger. And angel, as we said, angel is a nice word. In a soul conscious soul is an angel. Your question, everything here is incognito. Physically, drama goes on, simple things happening, but in a silent way, you have the option to bring in this angel. And we saw what it means. It is not just the word angel, but you need the paras environment. When there is paras environment, the story becomes small. And that alokik world becomes alive, becomes important. In this environment, the invisible prince perspective begins. So let us create this, another few minutes of this. This second, we are not spending time relax leg and relax this, and invisible prince knows he is lucky, knows of his supreme home, supreme sky. That is where he belongs, and that is normal for him. Knows that everyone is lucky. They all are tiny points like him. They all are divine, noble, immortal, or royal. All belong to God, are loved by God. Invisible prince knows of his worthiness to belong to this supreme friend. That alokik dimension is natural for him. Paras means this. Silently knows that this dimension is a positive world. Universe is positive. It is a Ravan-free region. That's why nothing inauspicious. No one even needs anything, and no one can be harmed, even the slightest. So nothing inauspicious. Everyone is lovely, loving, and lucky. This is what he says. Invisible Prince knows all are royals. All are worthy to be loved by God. They are naturally egoless and desireless and sorrowless. He's just seeing this. He's seeing the world that already exists. He has the sight to see this. And just seeing it, it is like bringing attention to this. We say it is like creating light. And since it is general, we call it lighthouse effect. You are creating light in this dimension. That is this alokik benevolence, most important benevolence, most refined benevolence. Angelic intervention will be like this. And huge karma, but effortless. All he's doing is he's experiencing this fun. He is experiencing this life of joy and love, life with God. He is in truth, seeing this amazing reality, amazement and wonder. Celebration, celestial celebration. That is his life. But it also leads to the true benevolence. It leads to the highest karma. Benevolence in what way? Different souls, different parts of this planet, they will continue to get a glimpses. Process will start in them. Like at actual, here is a gathering, creating this collectively light in this dimension. It is not just a nice meditation here. It will actually help the souls. This is the truth of each and every one. But they are not experiencing this. They are caught in that box, drama box, because there is no light shining in the sky. So few of us creating this light, and as was mentioned earlier by Jayanti, during your free time, while working in a different way, coming back to these different experiences, then we are creating light in this alokik dimension. And when the light is created, attention of others come there. When there is darkness, if in a museum, some wonderful item, but it is in darkness, no one will see it. If there is light, others will notice it. Here you are creating light. But this is the light of truth. And in Baba's words, avyakta service through your avyakta form. Maybe I will stop here. If there are any comments, questions, it will be nice. And before the rooms, and then we'll meet after the rooms.
Yes, We have 3 questions here. Let's see how we go. If the angel has total acceptance of what's in the drama, how does the angel bring about change and transformation?
Sure. It is like we all the time have, act in a way. You may be walking on a street. There is something, you take a decision whether turn left or right. You may not know. You take a decision there in the situation, and same happens here. At any time, this moment, I am choosing to talk in a certain way and bring up a certain subject. Decisions are taken, and more my inner factors are changing. That those factors influence my decision making. That's all. Decisions are taken and actions do happen. You may internally feel you want to do certain thing, you want to turn left, but the road on the left is blocked. You have to turn right. Angels, they are equally easy about it. They will say, sure, turn right. Okay, let us turn right. There is a drama, there is a script that is also going on. There is no rigidity in the angelic perspective. What is more important for the angel is subtle shift. That is more important for the Father and for the angels. Other souls coming out of ignorance, that is more important. Souls becoming free from Ravan, that is more important.
Yeah, I hope that helps. Thank you. Very interesting. Less rigidity, and then also focus is different. How to recognize this hidden ego is in charge and not the angel, because it is very subtle.
Sure. The hidden ego will go as whichever, gross ego, as they become smaller, then we'll see what is hiding under the surface. But all along the journey is we have to feed the soul consciousness. As we create these seconds, minutes in soul consciousness, then the contrast comes. And in that contrast, we see what is on the other side. If there is no contrast, then it is right in front of us sometimes. And this is the case. Ego is blatant, but we cannot see it is ego even, because there is no contrast in ourselves. As we create this contrast of right now, we are bringing this contrast. Invisible Prince, he is the invisible angel. He has his world and he has intoxication based on his alaukic world. And if he's coming in the story just as an incarnate for a very clear mission, and everything else is to support that mission, he's giving food to the body, it is to support that mission of the incarnate. So thoughts and all are at that level. The rest of the time, his thoughts are alaukic. Then during those seconds, minutes, it is angelic. And we have the option to play with it. With a hobby to come, let the mind be used by the angel. And create some hour to play with it. Then you will see the contrast. When other thoughts are coming, in the past you thought, nothing wrong with it, but now you see what a waste, and that has to be stopped. So you got something to replace it with.
Yeah, very helpful. It's amazing how we need reminding, and what feeling of when we know what is right, we will know what is wrong. We need to really get that firm. Maybe one more question before we take a break, and then there are some more for after. How can we stop the ego using our mind? Which you've maybe touched on, but anything further to add?
Yes. No, ego is stubborn, and as was said, ego has been using the mind full time. If the man Ravan Bhava, this was the mantra from Copper Age, it is full time. Ego has been using the mind. What we are doing is use paras. That is like a wonderful thing for us. Then more we use it, paras will become stronger. And in that environment, the soul awareness stands out. That's why we said that alaukic dimension becomes obvious. And now the soul is using we use the language angel. Angel is using the mind. Invisible prince is seeing why he's lucky, and he is seeing his home, and he's seeing his family, and he's seeing the wonder of the alaukic world. So the angel is using the mind. Mind can only create one thought at any moment. Mind cannot be used by angel as well as the ego. So if the mind is busy with Ram, then Ravan cannot use it. That is the secret of Manamana Bhava. You are giving the mind to Ram, and then Ravan cannot use it, and ego cannot use it.
What's happening when we are observing Ravan, because we want to have vigilance on the mind, and sometimes we hear sharing that observing Ravan but not getting affected, those kind of comments. What exactly is going on there, would you say? Because it makes sense to me what you just said. It's either the angel or ego. It's a question.
Sure. Today, don't exactly understand what is the angle of this, or which context the question is asked. But the emphasis today, start with the angel. We don't spend time analyzing Ravan or observing Ravan. No, that is not an emphasis. Start with the angel. Let the angel use the mind. Angel is experiencing his celestial truth. And if Ravan does come in, let angel observe that Ravan. And let that be the subtle aim. Not going into Ravan, that then the mind is, you are losing the opportunity. More you are doing this, then you will also detect when new forms of Ravan comes and Ravan's some mischief. You will be observing it. But emphasis today is start with the sky in the first second.
Being busy with the clean start.
Mm.
And the more power there is in separation, it improves your discrimination. So then things are easier. You're not working in the dark, as it were. So we have some other questions. Maybe we create a little time for rooms and come back to those after.
Yes, nice.
So do you have any comment questions for the room discussion?
And this will be nice. The man manabhav, how to give mind to Ram, and how to make the mind be used by the angel. Biggest secret and the highest thing anyone can do. So it is nice to discuss on this.
Okay, great. We put that in the chat. Joy, and we'll see you back in 10-15 minutes. Hi, well, welcome. It's a nice celebratory feeling to meet, and hope you had enough time for everyone to share, but you can always use the chat. It'd be lovely to hear. Just creating maybe 1 or 2 moments to create some silence before we continue. Thank you. Thank you. It'd be really interesting to hear what came up in your discussion. I don't know if someone in your group would like to share, or if everyone's experiences are so valuable. And there is a follow-up question about this. What do you offer with Mama and Abba exactly, and how do you do it practically? When Bishop was saying offer the mind, so maybe you were discussing that as well. Let's come back to Prashant. We'd like to share on that, or any thoughts?
Let us come back for a few more moments. Invisible Prince knows that he is lucky. And why he's lucky? He has got his word of God with him. And word with God. His universe is positive. And even the story, it is a great gift. Every moment is a wonderful moment in the story. All that has happened, it is like a game of a second. Not spending too much time analyzing either or trying to create a preamble. In 1 second, invisible prince is seeing his world. And what has happened at practical level, mind is used by the angel. And this is Manmanabhav. Manmanabhav is the broad meaning, give the mind to God. And God then says, okay, use the mind the way He tells us. It gives us Srimad. Use the mind to experience soul consciousness, use the mind with the knowledge of Ram, use the mind for the task of Ram. And Invisible Prince is absolutely practicing this. If you are not using the mind for Ravan, then it is Manmanabhav. So, for 1 minute, you are using the mind to understand these ideas, for example. In the last 2 hours, we have been using the time, and mind is involved in trying to understand the ideas. And these ideas are meant for the soul, for the angel. They are ideas coming from Ram. And so it is Manmanabhav. You are reading a Murli, that is Manmanabhav. In different, but also Baba said, if you are using your mind to think about the task of Ram, how you can be involved, what you are doing for the task of Ram, that is also Manmanabhav. But the refined version, ultimately this Manmanabhav, this momentum, Baba then wants you to let the angel, be conscious. So in Invisible Prince, staying within that line and coming in the physical world as an incarnate and not wasting any time in ordinariness, that is like a good stage. That's a good direction. Even for a few minutes, again and again, to come back to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further follow-up questions? Feel free. The question here, shall I ask another?
Mm-hmm.
We have a few here, so just to let you know, are Avyakt and Alokik terms to describe exactly the same consciousness or reality of the bodiless, immortal, and angelic star?
Yes, we are using them in a synonymous way at the moment. Yeah.
Another question. Manmanabhav, is it possible to be in that space while listening to someone telling unpleasant things when someone else is in sorrow? Is it possible to give drishti and be in Manmanabhav? That question is coming.
Absolutely. Because when the Invisible Prince is visiting the story world, as long as he knows he is dealing with a story and he has not forgotten his world behind. It is the Invisible Prince who is listening to things. Then it is Manmanabhav. This Manmanabhav is not conditional upon the details of the drama. But if I cross the line and then ego is listening to it, then it is not Manmanabhav. Then ego has come, and ego will have sentimentality, will have passions, and as he is listening. But when the invisible prince is listening, he knows that story. He also knows behind all this drama that is going on, sad things or exciting thing. He knows they all are souls, and they all are safe, and they all are noble. He knows this, and so silently he is creating light, even though he's listening to the story. But his mission is to create light for the souls.
Find this word sentimentality helpful as we can kind of sense where we are. Yeah, so that was appreciated. One aspect of knowledge which we reflect on is of God, and he says he's Father. So the question is, how is it he is Father when the soul always exists? Because the Father is giving birth to someone. So would you like to just expand on that?
Yeah, sure. Most important in this scheme of things, we know soul is eternal, and the world of physical matter is eternal. Our home is eternal. Supreme soul is immortal. But at the present time, he plays the part of an adult. Just like in a home scenario, children do very silly things and childish, and can be in danger and can't even understand if someone is explaining their childishness. Brain is not developed to understand even what right is. And then parents have to have patience, but reach them at the level they are at, and gradually they become like the parents. They become adults. It is same thing going on at another level here. All the souls in that body conscious state are absolutely childish. Body consciousness means this. They can't even, that stone intellect, they can't even understand what Baba knows and what Baba wants us to know. We can't even begin to understand. It is such a state. But he stays in that space. He finds a way to get across to us, just like a parents do to the children. Support them, protect them, but also try and reach them at the level they are at. And gradually the children grow, get out of their childishness. They become adults. And in that sense, he plays the role like the father. But Baba has also said he is also like our friend, and he is also like our brother, and he will be happy children become like him, and then it is also a friend, companion. I hope the concept is clear. It is more the function and the role played by the father.
Yeah, that's really nice. And it's been said before, he has fatherly feelings, so he's, for all intents and purposes, father. Just to add to what you said about the role.
Yeah.
This may be a continuation of this. Baba says we belong to him. What does that really mean? We belong to him.
Yeah, sure. in our body conscious state, we are, our ego likes to feel he belongs to the story. We all, belong to some family, some clan, some religion, some organization. It's all within the story, and that all feeds, Ravan. That's what Ravan wants. Here Baba says, no, you belong to him, and he's incorporeal. You are from that family beyond, and you belong to the home beyond. That to accept it, you have to be soul conscious. We always belong somewhere, and natural place of the soul is the supreme home and the supreme family, that father. That is our eternal bond and eternal belonging. All that happens when we cross the line, we come into ignorance, we transfer all these feelings in the story. We experienced this relationship of love. We project it in the story. We find someone else, and then we love them. And as a child, we transfer it to the doll, want to love a doll. It is all projected based upon our original experience.
Making a list of this, what you just said, we always feel we belong somewhere. So the question is it the story or the eternal home? And we're always giving the mind to something, either it's Ravan or it's Ram. And we're always churning something, whether it's the ego churning or it's the angel. So it's nice to see something is going on. What is it in line with the truth? Maybe one more question that came in this. Are we or are we not separated from God?
One is our bond is eternal. All are part of this family. All belong to God. All are loved. And it cannot be separated. That belonging to the home is eternal. Love is eternal. And that bond with others is eternal. But when we are zombie, we are not experiencing it. That bond is there, love is there, belonging is there, but experience is not there. So we separate ourselves. We cut off ourselves because of that confusion. Just like someone may be part of the family, but if he's seriously confused, he is not experiencing it. When he is out of confusion, then he experiences it. We are in that kind of state when body consciousness comes. They are zombie princes. They are princes, they belong to the King of Kings, they are loved, but they are zombie. And when body consciousness is removed, when knowledge comes, light comes, the prince becomes conscious again.
Yes, it's helpful with this. Either prince is conscious or the beggar is active. So for the beggar, there is this way separation. Yeah, thank you. So there aren't any other questions right now. And if you have any final thoughts, we can also close with a drill. And if you have anything to share.
I might sort of encourage you to see this as a homework, long-term homework. Angel using the mind, and keep a very clear perspective what we mean by that. These are nice words, but not. It can become just mechanical. But understand what it means, and see the contrast where angel is not using the mind, and you will greatly appreciate. There can't be anything higher use of the mind than the angel using the mind. This is the ultimate goal of spiritual journey. You clearly understand what this highest consciousness is, and the mind is given to that. Many other things will follow in that process. Things continue to, they need to be refined. Paras has to get refined and all this, but then the service, service through the mind, that is possible if the angel is able to use the mind. Without angel being there, service through the mind is not a possibility. And nice homework for us. So we'll meet again. Om Shanti.
Thank you very much. Very nice. And it also gave me the feeling of this process creates more nishchay, because you're putting the mind in that space. Is more clarity, conviction. The experiences are creating the foundation. So that also consolidates. So that thought came here. This will be like homework for over the new year as well, I think. Nice to set those personal goals. What's the personal aim for the year? I'm just putting in the chat the details of the next retreat, which is 10 a.m. UK time. So if you're in the States, we will also get recordings. We can connect you to those on the Vigyan channel, or you can register for that. So really appreciating this environment that's created by everyone's focus, and big thanks to the translation team as well, as always. Thank you. We'll create a few moments to connect with Madhaban. Bhaktada Om Shanti.
Jorwani